הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבר אחים גם יחד. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Temple Emmanuel. My name is Rabbi Farbman. I'm delighted to see some familiar faces and people that I have never met. Welcome to our synagogue. This is only one of the very few first times that we have been here in this room with other human beings. So if you think that I'm a little giddy, then don't be alarmed. It's because it is really a very unusual experience after more than a year of being entirely virtual. Thank you for being here to celebrate with Matthew. I'm going to ask people who are at home if you can please wave at me and let me know that you can hear us. You can hear the sound coming from the sanctuary. Anyone? Yes? Okay, there's some hand waving. Good. So I think that, well, you can hear me here. That's good. I also wanted to make sure that they can hear me out there as well. This is I suppose, the part of a new reality that we are trying to use technology to bring everything we can and cannot into one space. We are able to be in two places at the same time. We're able to be here in our sanctuary, and we're able to be in people's homes. But all of us are here because we're so excited to celebrate Matthew's big day. And he's excited also. He's currently hiding the excitement behind the mask. But we have agreed that when he comes up onto the bima, he'll be able to remove it as well, so that you can actually see his excitement as well. So the prayer book that we are using is called Mishkan Tefillah. It is designed in such a way that you can see the words of a traditional liturgy on the right-hand side, and the alternative readings, translations, poetry on the left-hand side. I hope you've received a copy of the prayer book as you were coming in. If not, then on the wooden shelf just outside, you can grab another copy. And those of you at home are welcome to use the flipbook version of the prayer book as well. That is available online. So I will be announcing the page numbers. Matt will be announcing the page numbers, and we will try to go there. As I said, it's a bit of an unusual experience now hearing other people in the sanctuary read back. I have been conducting services in what at least felt as an audio solitude, even though I was grateful that people were able to be there and see it. And with that, we turn now to page 74. Ma tovu Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Israel. Ma tovu Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Israel. All right, Matt, coming up onto the bima. And one more page. There we go. Excellent.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs, into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, oh how well we are aware. We would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and our strength. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofel cho basar umfi lasor.
All right. You're going to slow down as well there, right? Page 78. As we awaken, we acknowledge our souls. Elohai. Okay, this is a call and response, people. Here we go. Elohai, Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi. Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi. Tehorahi, 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 Tehorahi. You created me, you shaped me, you breathed me into life. You created me, you made me, you breathed me into life. Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi. Elohai, neshama, shenatata bi. Tehorahi, Tehorahi, Tehorahi. We continue with the morning blessings on page 80. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the blind.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who frees the captive.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who stretches the earth over the waters.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives strength to the weary.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who made me in the image of God.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me free.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me a Jew.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who girds Israel with strength.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Israel with splendor.
Amen. Gary? The blessing at the top.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
O Adonai, our God, let the words of Torah be sweet in our mouths, and let the mouths of your people Israel, so that we, our descendants, and the descendants of all your people Israel, may know you by studying your Torah for its own sake. Blessed are you, Adonai, who reaches Torah to your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, hamlamid Torah le'amo Yisrael.
Amen.
These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all. Please turn to page 100.
Page 100. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, El Bekodsho, Hallelujah, Birkia Uzo, Hallelujah, Bigvurotav, Hallelujah, Kerov Gudlo, Hallelujah, 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 take a shofar, Hallelujah, benev vechinor, Hallelujah, betov umachol, Hallelujah, beminim vehukah, Hallelujah, 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 betzilzele shama, Hallelujah, betzilzele truha, kol hanshama tehalelia, kol hanshama tehalelia. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Yai, nai, yai, nai, nai, yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, yai, nai, nai, yai, nai, 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 nai.
We continue the service with Baruch Hu on page 108.
Page 108, would you please rise for the Baruch Hu? Yananai, yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nanai, nai, 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 nai. Yananai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nanai, nai, 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 nai. Baruch Hu et Adonai, HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam, 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 Le'olam va'ed. Yananai, yanai, nai, nai. Yai, nanai, nai, 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 nai. Yananai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nanai, nai, 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 nai. Please be seated.
Praised are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and fashions all things. In mercy you illuminate the world and those who live upon it. In your goodness you daily renew creation. How numerous are your works, Adonai. In wisdom you form them all, filling the earth with your creatures. Be praised, Adonai our God, for the excellent work of your hands, and for the light you create. May they glorify you. Shine a new light upon Zion, that we may all swiftly merit its radiance. Praised are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMorot.
Amen.
How deeply you have loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. On account of our forebears whose trust led, you teach them the laws of life. Be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is your Torah.
Middle of page 112. Ve'ha'erneinu betoratecha ve'da דבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך, והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו, כי אל פועל ישועות אתה, ובנו בחרת וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע באמת להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. Please rise for the Shema. Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשובך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, amen. Please be seated.
Please join me in reading responsively in the middle of page 121. The eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is no one else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and let their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asks God.
The rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High.
Blessed is God and deserving of blessings. Continue with the words of Michamocha on page 122.
Elim Adonai, mi chamoka nehedar b'kodesh, Norat tehilot osef ele, Norat tehilot osef ele.
שירה חדשה שבקעו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, עובדי קדומך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. Would you please rise for the Amidah? Matt, we turn around, face the ark, take the prayer book. Adonai sefatai tifta, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Yainai, yadananai, yadanai, yadananai, 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 yadananai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'Imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Anora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, ve'Koneh Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu vehu Yashmienu, berachamav le'einei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Himloch Adonai leolam, Elohai Tzion, ledor vador. Hallelujah. Ledor vador nagid godlecha, ulenetzach netzachim kedushat kanagdish. Veshivcha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. Page 132. Ve'shamru v'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat ledorotam berit olam. Ve'shamru v'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat ledorotam berit olam. Ve'nyu B'nei Yisrael, Odhi leolam, Ve'shamru B'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi shavat vaynafash, shavat vaynafash, Shavat vaynafash ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael et hashabat lasot et hashabat ledorotam berit olam.
Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot, and grant us to share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness, and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God, grant us your holy Shabbat as a heritage. May Israel, who sanctifies your name, rest on Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. Retzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael, u'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel, u'tehi leratzon tamid, avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato leTzion. Hamachazir shechinato leTzion.
We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors. Forever you are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one, whose mercies never end, O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name forever be praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shemcha u'chal na'edeh la'adot.
Page 140. Sim shalom, tova ubracha. Sim shalom, tova ubracha. Sim shalom, tova ubracha. Sim shalom, tova ubracha. Chen v'chesed v'rachamim. Chen v'chesed v'rachamim. V'rachamim. Sim shalom. Tova ubracha. Sim shalom. Tova ubracha. Sim shalom. Tova ubracha. Sim shalom. Tova ubracha. Aleinu ve'al kol Israel. Aleinu ve'al kol Israel. Amecha. Sim shalom. Tova ubracha. Sim shalom. Tova ubracha. Sim shalom. Tova ubracha. Sim shalom. Tova ubracha. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Israel, v'shalom.
Silent prayer.
All right, silent prayer. Thank you for announcing that. That was very good. So at the end of the Amidah, we leave a few moments of silence because there are, of course, wonderful, beautiful words and poetry on the pages of our prayer book, but they can never encompass everything that we need to bring to this moment. So we leave a few moments of silence for our private, personal prayers to be offered at this time. Bottom of page 142. Ose shalom imroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Israel, ve'imru amen. Ose shalom imroma, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Israel, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom. All right, we are entering the next stage of our exciting morning because we have arrived to the Torah service.
Torah service can be found on page 244.
244. So at this point, some things will start moving around the bima and around the sanctuary. So I will be calling on people's names and inviting you. Hopefully, you have been instructed by a family of what mitzvot you're coming up for. There should be no surprises. Right? Usually. Okay, very good. You know, I think that Matt has heard me say this far too many times this year. But if there's anything that we can take away from the year is that we plan, always plan, and then we act accordingly, even as world unfolds around us in a way. So we have planned. We have a list of people. Hopefully you guys know who you are. Page 244, would you please rise? And we call up Eric and Aaron Korsh to open the ark. Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai ve'ein kema'asecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. הרחמים היטיבה ברצונך את ציון, תבנה חומות ירושלים, תבנה חומות ירושלים, כי בך לבד בטחנו, מלך אל רם ונישא, אדון עולמים. כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. גדלו לאדוני איתי, ונרוממה שמו יחדיו. So we're now going to proceed with what's known as Hakafah, the ritual carrying of the scroll around the sanctuary. And as the circle begins to wind around the sanctuary, we invite Eleanor and Bee to come and undress the Torah. Lecha Adonai hagedula ve'hagevura ve'hatiferet ve'hanetzach ve'hahod ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz. No, not yet. Ki bo b'shamayim u'va'aretz lecha Adonai ha'mamlacha ve'amit na'aseh lechol derosh. You follow the procession. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. Okay, now you come back. You come back onto the bima. Okay, and this is where we undress. So just the person carrying the Torah comes back. You can return to your seat, and you guys come up. You have a seat to make it a little easier for them. Okay, very good. And now you may be seated as well. All right, Matthew, sir. There's an introduction that you want to make for everyone. Yeah, pick up the piece of paper, just that piece of paper. There we go. Put it in the middle so the microphones speak up. There we go. Excellent.
Imagine this. Moses, his brother Aaron, and his sister Miriam are all moving through the desert with a group of Israelites. This is roughly around the time of Pesach, or Passover. 2 years after the Jews escaped Egyptian slavery, they make camp in the desert. As Moses and Aaron were getting ready for the very moving ritual of sanctifying the Levites for the temple of service on behalf of the entire Jewish people, Aaron is commanded to mount the lamps of the temple menorah. This menorah was not like the ones we see during Hanukkah, but it was a 7-branch candelabra, bringing both physical and spiritual light to the temple and the Jewish people. Aaron and Moses are in charge of organizing a ritual for God at a tent of meeting, which is essentially just a temple that was eventually built in Jerusalem, but on wheels. Aaron puts the Levites up as an elevation offering for God as a way to make it so they can service the tent of meeting. Normally, just like the synagogues are the pride of many towns, villages, and cities, so of course the tent of meeting was the center of everything. As I chant my verses of Torah, I invite you to ponder what gives you light in your lives.
Okay, do you want to repeat that last sentence so people can actually hear what you're inviting them to ponder? Just slower.
As I chant my verses of Torah, I invite you to ponder what gives you light in your lives.
Excellent. I knew you had it in you. Man, who knew that this was going to be so entertaining, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Are you feeling entertained right now?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, that's it. That's our part. You can put this up for people coming up. We'll have the microphone pointing at them so that we can hear those who come up for an aliyah. Part of the adjustment to the current reality is that I don't get to be close to the Torah. I just get to set it up and walk away. And if those of you who know me and have in the past accused me of being control, whatever, should know how easy it is. But I can leave Matt in control. He knows what he's doing. Yeah? You know what the best part of this current reality, Matt, is? We don't have to do anything special. All of this is being recorded for posterity. You get to revisit it again and again. Ya'amdu Nesagela bat Kaila veberel ve'Yankel ben Chinda ve'Yisrael aliyah rishona lekriyata Torah. We call Matthew's grandparents for the first aliyah. Or if you have your own copy, you can use your own copy.
Okay, start here.
Yep.
Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu michol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. I see, Matthew, you have been charged with more work than you anticipated. Good. First aliyah. Go ahead.
V'daber Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el ha'aron v'yimarta elav b'chaluteka et hanarod el mul p'nei ha'menorah ya'iru shivyat hanarod. V'yas ken Aharon el mul p'nei ha'menorah E'ela neruteha ka'asher tziva Adonai el Moshe zahav misha ha'menorah misha zahav ad yercha Mikshahi kamare asher hara Adonai et Moshe ken asa et hamenorah.
Okay, the blessing after.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata betochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And you get a hug from them too. Ya'amod Yitzchak ben Caleb Berel Aliyah Shniya L'Kriyat Torah. We call Matthew's great uncle for the Aliyah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Borach Leolam Vahed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarah Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
V'deber Adonai el Moshe lemor ka et halevim mitok b'nei Yisrael v'tarta otam v'chol ta'aseh lehem netaram hazeh elehem mei hatat v'heviru tahar al kol v'saram v'higdesu v'higdehem v'higdeharu v'laku var ben bakar umin hatos olet belula bashamen Ufar sheni ben bakar tika lehatat.
Okay, excellent. Go ahead, the blessing after.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tachenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Ta'amot, Chana bat Nessa v'Yankel Aliyah Shlishit lekriyat Torah. We call Matthew's mother for the third Aliyah.
Okay. Baruch Adonai Hamvarah.
Baruch Adonai Borach Leolam Vahed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarah Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
V'hikravta et halevim lifnei ohel moed. V'hikravta et kol adat b'nei Yisrael. V'hikravta et halevim lifnei Adonai v'samchu b'nei Yisrael et hayahad at halevim. V'nif Aharon et halevim tenufa lifnei Adonai me'et b'nei Yisrael. V'hayu le'advod et yavodat Adonai v'lam yismehu et yidehem al rosh haparim v'eseh et hayahat hatat v'et hayahat hala le'Adonai lekaper halavim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. All right, you just get to
Just hug.
if you can give him a hug, and you move on to the other side
Yep.
of the Zima. There we go. All right, Matt. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're doing your blessing. Okay, hold on. I need to call you up first. Ya'amod Batityahu ben Chana ve'Alan le'aliyah revit lekriyat Torah habachur bar ha-mitzvah. We call our bar mitzvah boy, or bar mitzvah man, I should say. All right, blessing.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Borach Leolam Vahed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarah Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vehamadata et halavim lifnei Aharon velifnei banav vehenivta otam tenufa leadonai vehivdalta et halavim mitok bnei Yisrael vehayu lehalavim veharaken yavo halavim leavod et ohel moed vehitarta otam tenufa Ki netonim hema li mitok b'nei Yisrael tachat vitra kol rehem bikor kol bibnei Yisrael lakakti otam li.
All right, and bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'hayei olam nata betochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Shar koach. Now you can give your mother a hug. There we go. There we go. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so I want to say just a few words before you continue with the explanations. This is a very special Torah scroll. It is part of our people's history, and I think in it carries both love of Jewish people for the Torah and the pain of our history, and the incredible reminder that if we commit to something, that we can't undo the past harm, but we can create a future. So this Torah scroll is part of what's known as the Memorial Torah Scrolls. It is a Czech Torah scroll. It's written in Bohemia. It's a little over 150 years old. And it comes from a community that, like many other communities, was destroyed for some reason that we still haven't fully understood. The Nazis have collected, as they were destroying the Jewish communities in Czechoslovakia in general, in the Czech Republic in particular, they have collected all of the Torah scrolls in one place. There was talk that maybe there was going to be a museum of destroyed culture. It has been something that scholars have been discussing and arguing for years. But as it may, these scrolls were actually meticulously cataloged. They were not necessarily well kept, but they, after the war, they were discovered and they ended up in the possession of the Czech government, and eventually were brought out in the early 60s into London, and Memorial Scrolls Trust was created. And thousands of these Torah scrolls ended up there, and some of them were beyond repair, and others could be usable. So these scrolls started being given out on a long-term loan to congregations all around the world. This Torah scroll comes from the town of Hrazdovice, something that you have done a lot of research about and written presentations. Remember last year? I know, it was a long time ago. It feels like it was a long time ago. This Torah scroll came to Temple Emmanuel in 1967, and every single bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah, in the beginning this was our first scroll, so all the festivals as well, this was the Torah from which we read. Back in 2007, the scroll was deemed beyond repair, and it was retired, and a special case was constructed in the lobby, and so when you came here as a little kid, that's where the Torah scroll lived. It lived in that display cabinet, reminding us of the history. Only 7 Jews are known to survive from Hrazdovice, small town in the Czech Republic. But the Torah scroll from that community, more than one actually, has survived. So 2 years ago, we embarked on the project of learning more about the community and also restoring the Torah scroll. And so it is now kosher, and your year is the first year of Bar Mitzvah students to read from this scroll once again after a hiatus of a little over 10 years. And so you are linking every imaginable part of our history by chanting so beautifully from this scroll today. And I wanted everybody, both here and at home, to know what a special moment it is, a special moment of celebration. So you're keeping the flame going for generations of people that you did not know and that I did not know, and that's truly special. Okay, now you're going to share some wisdom with us.
Later on in my Torah portion, Moses is traveling through the desert with the Israelites. However, during this part of the journey, the Jews begin to complain about only having manna to eat, a type of spongy bread that sustained them as they journeyed through the desert. The Israelites are, quote-unquote, remembering the good times back when they were slaves. They begin to remember the imagined reality where they had a lot of food and water, comfortable houses, and an almost endless supply of food. Moses, in fact, has to remind the Jewish people that slavery was not all that great. The Torah narrative reminds us that people can quickly become ungrateful and ignore the fact that they were miraculously not starving in the desert. Having said that, I also sympathize with their plight. I mean, I like bread, and I'm sure most people do. However, it's understandable to get tired of it when you eat it 3 meals a day for a long amount of time.
Okay, Matt, slow down.
Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch, an Orthodox rabbi in the 19th century, argued that it was Moses' fault for not listening to the complaints and the murmuring. However, others would argue that it was the Israelites' fault and that they were just picky. The way I see it is that there is a disconnect between the suffering they endured as slaves and the way they were remembering the past, because they don't seem to remember all the harsh labor, killings, beatings, and plagues before they got out. The Israelites display a very human trait, forgetting the bad and only remembering the good, even imaginary good, from the past. When faced with new challenges, they idealize the past and complain about the present. However, Moses did not handle this well either, going to God and complaining, which is where I personally start to agree with both rabbis, Samson Raphael Hirsch, 19th century, and Pinchas Pelly, 20th century. They both suggest that the Israelites were bored. However, Pelly suggests that they are making excuses to not do something and labeling their boredness as pure inability. They are bored, however, they could easily kill 2 birds with 1 stone, starting a farm, giving them new and better food, and giving them something to do. I believe it's a combination of what the Israelites are doing and what Moses isn't. Now I know what you might be thinking. It's difficult to start a farm in the desert and on the move, but it's actually quite the contrary. Some foods like grapes, olives, strawberries, and beetroot actually grow the same or even better in sand, which could be put on a mobile sand garden. I don't expect the Israelites to grow beetroot, but olives, olive oil, and grape juice are very useful foods. The Israelites are voicing their opinion and complaining about the manna they have to eat. They're forcing themselves to believe something that didn't happen. Moses hears this and hears that the Israelites don't like the manna and simply doesn't care. He has his eyes set on a goal and is pushing towards that goal without taking the steps to keep his people safe so they can get there too. But what would you do? What should you do? Well, my advice to someone stuck in a situation they don't like is to get out of it. By this I mean, don't tell somebody you don't like the situation or tell yourself you don't like the situation. Do something to get out of the situation. When you're listening to the radio and a song comes on you don't like, you don't sit there and say, "Ugh, I hate this song," and sit there thinking about how much you hate the song while listening to the song. I've learned from this portion that mind doesn't make miracles. By this, I mean just because you don't like something doesn't mean that thing will just stop happening. Switch radio stations, turn the radio off, play music from your phone, sing a song out loud. There are so many more ways to end something you don't like than there are for that thing to exist. That's my chance. That's done.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's very good.
What do we do now?
What do you do now? Well, no, you pause now. I say Shar Koach. That was so well done. By the way, it's only taken about 3,500 years for the Israelites to figure this out, but we do have hanging gardens with strawberry growing without earth in Israel, in the desert. And we are growing grapes now in the desert. It's really quite remarkable. So, eventually they caught up to your ideas. Very good. But I love the mobile gardens. I think this will be your next entrepreneurial idea, mobile gardens that travel with sandbar. Okay, very good. While the Torah scroll is out, we continue with the words of Mishaberach, the prayer for healing. We mentioned specifically Christopher Karchia, and if you have any other names that you would like to add to the prayer for healing, you may do so now. Baruch atah Adonai rofeh cholim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sends healing to those who are in need of healing. Middle of page 253. Mi sheberach avoteinu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha ve'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. All right, we turn now to page 252 at the bottom of the page, as I invite you all to rise for the Hagbah, and I call on Ira Bryn to hold the Torah after the Hagbah, and Eleanor and B to come back to dress it in a moment. Okay, so you step aside. Step aside. There we go. Okay. We're going to do this. It's interesting when וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. So Eric, you can go and have a seat in that seat over there, and you guys are coming back. Okay. All right, you hold this. You may be seated. Matt, you know what you... No, not you. Dang. Oh, my God. This boy... sorry, this man is trying to escape. I think you have an introduction to the Haftarah. Yes, yes, you do. And then you have your Haftarah. In fact, let's make this a little easier for you. Sure. The stand. How cool is that? There we go. And do you have these pages? Excellent. Start with the introduction.
In the year 538 BCE, Cyrus, a Persian ruler, has allowed the Judean exiles to return to their homeland. Zechariah and his brother Agai are both prophets. Zechariah has visions of an old priest. Zechariah also has visions of a 7-branch candelabra being hung as a temple menorah in a tent of meeting. Sound familiar? Baruch atah Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'neviim tovim v'ratzah v'divreihem henene emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'torah uv'Moshe avdo Uve Yisrael amo, uve Nevi'eh hamed ba'atzedek. Roni v'samhi b'tzion, ki heneneva v'shachanti betokek ne'om Adonai. V'nelvu goyim rabim el Adonai bayom hahu. Vayuli la'am, v'shachanti betokek ve'adate, ki Adonai tzevaot shelani elayek. V'nhal Adonai edidehem halko al admat HaKodesh, Uvhor Od Barushalayim, Has Kol Basar Mibnei Adonai, Ki Neyor Mimin Kodsha. Sing joyfully and be glad, fair Zion. For behold, I am coming to dwell in your midst, says the Eternal One. On that day, many nations shall join themselves to the Eternal and become my people, and I will dwell in your midst. Then you shall know that God of heaven's host has sent me to you. The Eternal will take possession of Judah, God's portion in the Holy Land, and will be again chosen Jerusalem. Be silent, all flesh, before the Eternal, who is roused from God's holy dwelling place. The angel who had been talking with me came back and awakened me as my sleeper is awakened. He said to me, "What do you see?" I said, "I see a lampstand, all of gold, with a bowl on its top. There are 7 lamps on it, and on its top there are 7 pipes of the lamps. By it there are 2 olive trees, one on the right of the bowl and the other on its left." Then I said to the angel who had been talking with me, "What are these, my lord?" And the angel who had been talking with me answered, saying, "Don't you know what these things are?" "No, my lord, I do not," I said. Then he explained it to me, saying, "This is the world of the Eternal to Zerubbabel. Not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit, says the God of heaven's hosts. What are you, you great mountain? Before Zerubbabel, you shall become a plain. He shall bring out the topmost stone, and seeing it, all shall cry, 'Beautiful, beautiful.'" Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzor kol haolamim tzadik bekol haderot helaneneman hamoher Torah hamedaber umekayin shekol devara emet v'tzedek al haTorah ve'al avodah ve'al hanamim ve'yom hashabat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'chelu lekavod uletifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu hanaknu modim la umevarechim otam yitbarak shenatata shimcha beti kol hai Tamid le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai
Ubaruch Shemo.
Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Shar koach. Matt, you can almost breathe out now. Okay.
For my Mitzvah project. My Mitzvah project is donating toiletries and other goods to Fellowship Place. Fellowship Place helps many people with many different things, such as offering classes, food, shelter, and space for people who aren't so fortunate. I'll do that after.
Okay. No, you do this, because then it makes sense while you're talking about that.
I skipped a paragraph.
You skip some of your own writing. I mean, that's why.
It's just that good.
It's just that good. Okay, there we go.
A B'nai Mitzvah is the coming-of-age celebration in Judaism considered when you hit 13. I can't drink or drive yet, legally, but I'm considered an adult in my religion. A bar mitzvah to me is the culmination of everything I, unlike a lot of my friends, have been working on for the past 2 years. It's proof that while COVID-19 can take most of the things I've looked forward to, it can only delay this for 360-something days. It's a tradition to recognize my Jewish ancestors, past and present, a showing of results of the last 4 years spent working every Wednesday and Sunday in Hebrew school, mostly every Wednesday and Sunday. My Mitzvah project is donating toiletries and other goods to Fellowship Place. Fellowship Place helps many people with many different things, such as offering classes, food, shelter, and space for many people who aren't so fortunate. My project is about donating small portioned bottles of shampoo, conditioner, soap, toothpaste, and more to those who need it.
Keep going.
There's just a thing. I'd like to thank everyone for coming, even if it was not in person. This was a rough few years, and this bar mitzvah got postponed quite a bit, but it came through thanks to everyone, especially my mother and grandparents. Thank you all out of town. Thank you to all out of town and even out-of-state guests for making it to this wonderful service. Of course, what's a service without a rabbi leading it? And how am I supposed to know how to partake in the service without all of the TDE staff and teachers helping me? Thank you to those who could unfortunately not come, however dwelled in spirit. And lastly, thank you to my parents for always being there for me.
Nice. All right. Now you can breathe out. Well, not quite.
Let's sit down.
Because now I get to speak to you. So there you go. You know what? I'm going to just check and see. Okay, there we go. Hi, Matthew.
Hi, Rabbi.
So, as you rightly pointed out, this was a long time in the making, and I never get tired of saying that you've managed to squeeze this in just before you turn 14. But of course, you know, and I know, and everybody I hope knows, that the bar mitzvah is not about the magic number 13 or 14 or anything else. As you know, my bar mitzvah of reading from the Torah like this happened when I was 27, so that's okay. You know, you did good. Truth is, this was not an easy year for all of us and for you personally as well. And you have figured out how to make it work. I will never forget the excited little kid who walked in through the doors. And occasionally it happens that there is this child who has it figured out, who really wants to do this. And a parent standing next to them, a little puzzled by what all of this means. You were probably one of the best Hebrew students I have ever seen because you were so thirsty for that knowledge. You learned, and you were flying. Then you turn into a teenager. We're not going to talk about that part. But oh my God, the joy of that excitement and that desire to learn and the desire to embrace. So you may have turned into a teenager who doesn't want to study quite as much as you did when you were a kid. And you know, by definition of the age, you're maybe not as cute and cuddly as he once was, right, John? I'm just checking, Alan. I'm not saying anything that will surprise anyone, but you know, if you did remain the same, then we would be saying, that's a really odd teenager. No, instead, we're saying you are a very appropriate one. But what you carry in you is this desire for the world that is a kind place in which people get along. Your desire to connect with your heritage while you're building very modern relationships with those who are around you. That's been fantastic to watch. Now, I also want to point out for everyone in the sanctuary, and I think I can do this for people at home. We have a project here when the 7th graders create this tree of their lives. It's an artistic midrash. It's on the front of the bima. So this is a circle that Matthew has created. You can afterwards ask him what the midrash is. It's supposed to represent his life so far, right? But you completed this last year. Well, so this is his life before COVID. I guess so. Okay, very good. So the first 13 years. And of course, like with the trees, you will continue adding to those circles, and you will continue adding to your life and to your experiences. This is but the first step in the Jewish experiences of an adult. Now, we've talked about the fact that you got to mature a little more, and as you were writing your speech, you started it as an almost 13-year-old, but you were finishing it as an almost 14-year-old. And I could tell, I could see the difference in the depth at which you were able and willing to tackle the complexity both of the text and of the story. How do we cope with hardship? How did you cope with that hardship? And the answer is, the best we could, right? Most importantly, I love how you said, mind doesn't make miracles. That's an awesome message to bring out of this and out of this year. There are always going to be things that are beyond our control. This year, we just all got to experience them at the same time. In fact, that's what makes the pandemic, a worldwide pandemic for that, so powerful. It's not that some people in some places found themselves unable to proceed with daily life. That happens all the time because of illness, because of conflict, because of health, all kinds of things. But the entire world, all at the same time, that doesn't happen very often, thank God. And so what you've learned is you can figure out a way that you can either sit there, in your own words, and suffer through the song you don't like, or, I love it how he suggested, I think, that ancient Israelites, if they don't like the music that's playing on the radio, they should just play it from their phone. I think there's a little bit of an anachronism there. It was very metaphorical. I know. But it's just, couldn't help it. We are all so excited for the young man that you are becoming. And we look forward very much to other things you're going to share with us through your passions. I know that while you are not the same little Matt that walked in through the doors of the synagogue, at the core of this, I know, some of your friends and your camp buddies know, you haven't changed all that much. May you never change. May you always keep that excitement and that joy about life within you. And may you always be willing to step up and to serve as a link in that chain of Jewish tradition. It was somehow coming, it was an innate for you. It was coming from right within you. And I hope that you continue to nurture that and to hold on to it. So in a moment, I'm going to give you a bar mitzvah certificate. It says Matthew Ponelli was called to the Torah as a bar mitzvah. It's today's date and the name of the portion, B'halotcha. In becoming a bar mitzvah, Matt has accepted the privileges and responsibilities of being a Jew. Lifelong Torah study and the keeping of mitzvot, Shabbat, holy day and life cycle observances, participation in the life of the synagogue, the Jewish community in Israel, dedication to Tikkun Olam, and the perfection of our world. Of course, everyone is invited and welcome to join you in collecting those toiletries. And if you haven't participated, I'm sure Matt can make special dispensation if you want to bring things and help him make an impact in this world in big ways and small. Now, I've signed it, but there are these empty spaces here, one for you and one for your parents, because this is a recognition that all of these kinds of obligations, they are only worth something if we actually embrace them, if we take them on. So this will go to you. There we go. And the other thing that's going to go to you, you can put this down for a moment, is of course, we're going to place the Torah scroll into your hands as a recognition of the fact that you are now fully accepted. You became bar mitzvah when you turned 13. That's the way our tradition works. But today, you finally had the opportunity to do the symbolic acts, wearing your great-grandfather's talit. How cool is that? Talking about a connection. Accepting the Torah into your hands from which you have chanted so beautifully. So I invite you all to rise as we place the Torah into your hands. Thank you, Aaron. Great. Okay. So, you know what? Do this. With this hand, hold it. No, the other way around. Hold it by the handle. And like this. There. Does that work? Excellent. So you turn around, face the congregation. Don't run away just yet. Page 256. Yehalelu et Shem Adonai, ki nizgav Shemo levado, hodo al eretz, v'shamayim. You can carry it around now. V'yarem keren le'amo, tehila lechol hasidav, livnei Yisrael am kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam, haolam homed. Al shlosha devarim, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. Watch out for the steps. There we go. Excellent. Okay. All right. All right, come. Stand over here. And we will call your uncles in a second to come back and close the ark. But for now, face the ark. There we go. One more sec. Ribono shel olam, ruler of the universe, we thank you for establishing your covenant with our ancient ancestors, with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, with Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. We thank you for remembering that covenant and remembering our people and bringing us out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery, into freedom. This day, we also thank you for bringing us to Sinai and placing the Torah in our hands with the help of Moses. This Torah that we have held on to and passed on from generation to generation, from generations of Jewish parents to generations of Jewish children, from teachers to students, building our lives around the wisdom of this ancient document, seeking inspiration from these words. Today, we place this Torah into Matthew's hands. Now he gets to be the next generation, holding on to it, using it as a blueprint for our lives. We on this day ask you to bless Matt with all of the success in all the things that he imagines for himself right now and all the things that he doesn't imagine just yet. We ask you to look after him, to protect him, to keep him healthy, to keep him surrounded by love of his family and his friends. And we do so using the words that ancient priests have uttered in your service in Jerusalem. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. V'esem lecha shalom. May God surround you with love and care, and may God give you peace. Let us say, Amen. Now we take one step back, stay here, there we go, and we invite your uncles to come back to close the ark in a moment. Ki lekach tov natati lachem, torati al ta'azovu. Etz chaim hi, not yet. Lama chazikim ba v'tomechea מאושר דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש חדש ימינו Kadesh Yameinu Kekedem. Now you can shake hands. There we go. Now you can return. Actually, did I say, Matt, that you can go and sit down? Sorry, I lied. You get to stay at the bima, and we invite your mom to come and say a few words to you. You may be seated.
You took my story, but it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
okay.
You can tell it still.
All right. So, first off, I just want to, sorry, into the microphone.
All right. Now, let's do this. We want to make sure that people
Can hear me?
hear you, right? Especially if they're at
Okay.
home. There we go.
Okay. So I want to start off by thanking friends and family for coming today in person and virtually. Come here, stand here. So I just want to say, Matthew, we finally made it to this day, one day shy, literally, of your 14th birthday. Your father and I are so very proud of you and how well you did today and how much you have accomplished in preparation for this big day. We are so proud of the wonderful man you have become. You're creative, you're kind, and you're funny. So I just wanted to share a story with you. The rabbi had kind of mentioned it a little bit, but you know, it was back when, I believe it was in the 3rd grade, when you came to me and you said you wanted to have a bar mitzvah. And so I said to myself, okay. And I said to him, you know, it's more than just having a party. Being a bar mitzvah, you know, there's learning and there's things you have to do. So I said, you know, he said, okay. I said, you have to study hard, you have to practice, you got to work at it. And so I said, all right, so now I have to find a synagogue to join. And I thought, what am I going to do? So I had a good friend of mine, Bill Sherman, who had, I remember hearing about.
Who's laughing right now?
I
on the
know he
screen.
is.
Yeah, so very good.
I know he is. I know he's listening. And so Bill Sherman had been trying to get me to be a member of Temple Emmanuel, or TE as we call it here, for a long time. And so I contacted Bill, and he gave me the contact for Rabbi, and we contacted the Rabbi, and we met with him and Matthew, who said the same thing as me. It takes a lot of learning, a lot of practice, a lot of school. It's not all fun and games, but we decided to take the plunge and join. And as the rabbi had mentioned, when Matthew first started, he was, you know, this little kid, and he shined, and he did really, really well, and he was the top of his class, and he was amazing, and he loved it. He had this yearn for learning, and it was wonderful, and he passed all the ramas, and he did really well. And then somewhere along the line, something happened, and it kind of changed. Maybe, I guess, when I don't know when it was, but it just sort of slowed down, let's just say. And, but anyway, he did a wonderful job, and, you know, the rabbi said to practice, and the practice paid off, and now you can breathe a sigh of relief, because it's all over, and you did a wonderful job, and we love you.
Well, so the nice thing is that nice kid who lets his mother hug him is still there, right?
Yes, he does. In front
All
of
right.
all these people.
You guys can have a seat for a moment. Actually, Matt, now you do get a chance to have a seat. You can have a seat.
Sure.
Well, I you know what? If I change my mind, I will let you know. Okay, very good. We turn now to page 258 as we continue with a prayer for our congregation, and I call on Vlad Katsevich, Vice President, to lead us in this prayer. 258.
Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us: love of Torah, devotion of prayer, and support for the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'atcha levadcha bira navod.
Thank you.
Matt, again, congratulations.
Thank you, Vlad. And we call now on Alan to lead us in the prayer for our country. He's been so far very quietly avoiding spotlight.
Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry, and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing. Do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it for those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care on earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen.
Well, thank you so much, John. And Joanna is going to lead us in the prayer for the state of Israel, the bottom of page 259.
O Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love, spread over it in the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fulfillment of joy for all who dwell there. Amen.
Amen. All right, and we turn now to page 283 as we rise for Aleinu. Please rise. Aleinu leshabech ladon hakol, latet gedola leyotzer breishi, shehu sam chelkenu leached et shemo, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Please remain standing. We turn to page 294 as we conclude our service with the words of Kaddish. We think of family members and loved ones who, although not with us in body today, are very much with us in spirit. We remember Bobby Clara, Bobby Edith, Peter Ponelli, and Myrna and Brind. And if you have a yard site, if you're observing a yard site this week, you can do so. Add other names as well. Baruch atah Adonai, Zecher Tzadik Levracha. May the memory of righteous endure for a blessing. May comfort come to all the mourners as we say the words of Kaddish together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach reuteh ve'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayichon v'yomeichon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'hagala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'le'almei almaya, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא והתהדר והתעלה והתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, and let us say amen. All right, you may be seated. Now, I usually ask the families what's their favorite melody for Adon Olam to conclude with. Matt made his choice. Are you all excited which one it is? Okay, and while we do that, we ask Eleanor, I guess you bring in the Kiddush cup. Very good. Hashem Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa V'Hefza Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kikod HaKol Levado Imlok Nora Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu Hovel Ve'hu Yeh Metifara Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa Ve'Hefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'hu Echad Ve'en Sheni Le'am Shelo Le'Hagvira Ve'li Reshit Ve'li Tachlit Ve'lo Ha'os Ve'Ha'misra Ve'hu Eli Ve'chai Goli Ve'tzur Chevli Ve'yom Tzara Ve'hu Nisi U'manos Li Menat Kosi Ve'yom Ekra Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa Ve'Hefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Be'yado Avkid Ruchi Le'et Isham Ve'ayira Ve'im Ruchi Geviati Adonai Li Ve'lo Ira Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa Ve'Hefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra. So Matt, I'm going to invite you and your parents to come back up onto the bima. You have a Kiddush cup that you have received as a gift. It's already there. Very good. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, lidorotam berit olam, ve'ini uvein b'nei Yisrael ot hi le'olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz, Uvayom Ashvihi Shabbat Vainafash Lifteka Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Borei Peri Hagafen. So now you have some. In fact, have all of it so that it doesn't spill there. You can share it with your family if you want to.
Too late.
Too late. Okay. As we conclude our service at this moment, I invite you all to rise, and we join with the words celebrating this very special moment. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyimanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who have kept us alive and sustained us and taken us on the journeys and brought us to this very special moment when Matt finally gets to celebrate becoming a bar mitzvah. May we never have to wait quite that long for things that we have planned, but we have many more opportunities to celebrate in life. Mazel tov. You can give them a hug, and everybody else, you can yell Mazel tov too. There we go. All right. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you so much to Vlad and Mike, to our wonderful board members as well, for keeping us all safe and organized. And thank you all for being here. And thank you to all of those of you who are at home as well. You can send your messages later on to Matt. And now, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
You can celebrate.
Yes.
There's lots of John's hands. I see.